and welcome to my Konmari journey where I've been working through the life-changing magic of tidying up by Marie Kondo. If you are just joining us here, I'm going to go ahead and leave a link up here to the very first Konmari video I did because you're starting at the wrong end. This is the wrap-up video. Woohoo! Okay, so to start at the beginning and let you guys kind of know how long this process took, I got the life-changing magic of tidying up at the end of October and pretty much started right away. As soon as I read through the book, was really gung-ho to get going on this process, and I was going very quickly. I would do maybe 3 or 4 categories a week, and that I kept up that pace right until the holiday started. So right around Thanksgiving, I started to slow down a little bit because, you know, you're busy during the holidays. And then I ended up finishing the very last category, which is sentimental items and photographs. I did that on January 1st, so I thought it was very fitting that I would start out 2016 by finishing up the Konmari method. Now, because I was going at such a pace of doing the categories, I wasn't able to publish videos that quickly, so that's why it is now April, and we are just getting to the wrap-up video because I was doing the videos once a week, even though I was doing more than one category a week. So that's what's going on. That's also why my hair is magically longer. If you guys are just on the YouTube and you haven't seen any pictures of me on the blog while my hair has been growing out. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts of the process, how it went, what would I recommend, and that sort of stuff. So I really enjoyed this process, and I would definitely recommend for anyone to do this method, especially if you're an American like me. Most of us have way more stuff than we need or even want in our homes, and it can seem like a really daunting task to work on that. I remember growing up as a kid, you know, we would always be trying to clean out the basement, and then we moved and we had boxes in the garage for years that had never been unpacked since we moved, and I was like, I don't want to get to a place in my life where that is something that I have to deal with. So I actually don't have my copy of the book with me right now because I lent it to my sister-in-law to do because she was so inspired by what I was doing, that she wanted to do some Konmari too. So I'm doing a lot of this from memory as far as what is in the book. One of my viewers asked, what would I add to the process, if anything to add to the method? I really wish that Marie had talked a little bit more about what to do with your discarded items. And because I really wish that before I had started this process, I had done a little bit more research into where can I donate or recycle different items from the different categories. And because while I was going through the process, I really just wanted to get rid of all this stuff. And, you know, with the lag behind the videos, sometimes, you know, I would go ahead and get rid of something, maybe throw it away, and then one of my followers would be like, oh, did you know that you can donate it here? Or maybe that's recyclable. And then I was like, man, I just threw that in the trash. And that kind of bummed me out. She's not really an environmentalist. She's definitely focused more on the home and having a home that sparks joy. But I feel like for a lot of us, what we are doing this for is, you know, we want to minimize our impact, whether it's on the planet or on our wallet. And if it's really easy to reuse something or donate it or recycle it, why wouldn't you want to do that instead of throwing it in the landfill? So I would recommend to any newbies to do a little bit of research, maybe before you start this process, and find those things out so when you get to categories and you come up with items, then you know what can be recycled or donated, and what are the things that are going to just be discarded. Next, I want to think about what would I change or do differently. I feel like for me, one of the hardest parts of this method was the filming of the method. It definitely took a lot more time in the process, even though, you know, I've been doing YouTube for a while, I know about the videos, but because I was able to put aside a lot of time each week to work on the process and really knock out those categories, that I felt like I was being held back a little bit by the video. So, you know, definitely I think that if, you know, that's something to really consider if you're going to be doing this method, is whether or not you're going to either video or take photos or some other way to document your progress, to make sure that that's not going to be something that's going to hold you back from completing the process. Because, you know, while it might be nice to do a blog or a YouTube channel for other random people on the internet to know about what you're doing, I feel like it's better for you to be successful on your own than to kind of fail because you're worried about pleasing random people on the internet. That being said, I have enjoyed talking with you guys through this process and getting to meet some new YouTubers while I've been doing this Konmari. It's a little bit different than what I've previously been doing with my channel, so that's been nice, and I don't regret doing the videos. It was just a lot of work. The other thing is, I wish that I had a better plan for the items that I wanted to sell as opposed to just donate or discard. Because currently I still have items in my home that I want to get rid of. I don't want to have them anymore, but I don't want to just discard them. I want to sell them, and that has also been a really big big setback for me in this process and keeping it going, is how do I get rid of these items. And so especially my vintage things, I don't just want to throw them away or give them to Goodwill. Makes me sad, but my house isn't a museum either, and so that's kind of where I am with that. So I would say definitely, if you're going to be selling items, be very particular about the items that you're trying to sell. You know, if you live somewhere where you can have a yard sale and it's that time of the year, great. I happen to live in a gated community, and our HOA only does community yard sales twice a year. So on top of the fact that I don't like to do yard sales, the yard sales weren't at a good time for me to participate in them, and so, you know, that wasn't really an option for me. So definitely do that. That's another area that's good to research before you get started so you don't get bogged down during the process. Okay, so one of the biggest critiques of Marie Kondo's book that I've seen on the internet is that, especially her first book, she doesn't really talk a lot about how to do this process with, if you have other people living in your home, be it family members, roommates, whoever, how do you deal with that? She does mention that you shouldn't discard other people's items, okay, but she doesn't really talk a lot about, you know, how to get involved with them, those kinds of things. She doesn't strike me as one of those like super people. Does that make sense? A people person? You know? So I'm not sure about that. And I know, having read her second book, Spark Joy, that now, you know, she's married. I believe she has a baby on the way. Not sure if it's here yet. You know, so in her second book, she did talk about that a little bit more. What she does say is, one, don't discard other people's items, which I already knew from Hoarders, if you haven't watched Hoarders. And secondly, she said to, that as you do this process and the other people living in your home see the benefits of the process, they will naturally want to join in. And I believe that that is kind of a good general rule of thumb. For me, I live with my husband, and I told him that I was going to be doing this process. I told him that he didn't have to get rid of any of his items, But especially as we got towards the more communal items, like the kitchen and those kind of things, I did encourage him to participate. I would ask, do you want this cup? Are you okay if I get rid of this cup? Or do you want to keep it? You know, whatever. Encouraging him, you know, while I was doing my wardrobe, to go through his wardrobe. I did fold all of his clothes once, and then I said, if you like it, you can do it again, but I'm not folding your clothes, Konmari, if you don't like it. So, I definitely think that that's a good way to do it, just to kind of be a non-pressure way, because if you force somebody to do something like this, to get rid of their items, it can be very detrimental to them, and, you know, you want to respect the fact that these things belong to somebody else, even though it may be very frustrating for you to live with them. Okay, so one of the other things that I wish that I would have done as I was doing this method would be to keep better track of the things that were leaving my home. I was good at the beginning at kind of making a list of all the different, you know, like this category was one trash bag and one bag for donate and whatever. But I kind of at the end. So to the best of my ability, I had one large trash bag of trash, 16 shopping bags full of trash, 5 trash bags to donate, 1 shopping bag to donate, and 4 boxes to donate. So I kind of wish I'd taken pictures of each group of things as I was taking them on the Goodwill trips, but I wasn't thinking and I didn't do that. Okay, some of the things that I've noticed since completing this method is that my house is a whole lot easier to clean, because there's less crap in it. Who knew? And I really appreciate that, and you know, that's definitely one of the benefits that I was really looking forward to as part of this process. The other thing is it has also helped with my shopping habits. I have been doing a lot more minimalist things, so that has kind of helped me curb the shopping. But now when I'm looking at things, I'm not just thinking about, is it practical, is it useful, am I using it? I'm asking myself, does it spark joy? And, you know, that maybe I'm going to pick something that's pretty. Why not pick the pretty one if you can pick one? You know, and asking those sorts of questions and thinking about all of the stuff that I thought that was going to bring me joy when I initially purchased them that didn't, that helps you make better decisions about things. So that's been really good as well. So let's see. The hardest category for me that I found was DVDs. That was a real shocker. I didn't think that I had such emotional attachment to movies, but apparently I do. I don't know if that's my husband rubbing off on me or I just been lying to myself, but I thought that category was going to be really easy, and I really wasn't able to discard a lot from that category. On the flip side, the category that I thought was one of the easiest ones was books, and I thought for sure that was going to be really hard for me because I love books and I love reading, but really I found that I had a lot of books that didn't really spark joy, and especially not enough joy for the amount of space that they take up. I hate moving books. Books are heavy and hard to do. And now, you know, you can use the library. A lot of libraries have ebooks which you can download and put on your e-reader from home. So I do that a lot. And it's just so much easier to do that than to have a million books that you might maybe read again one day. One of the things that I was really surprised that I liked was the folding method. Now, this was something that I had seen prior to reading the book. I'd seen it on some blogs and some YouTube channels about this mysterious folding method. And I am not a person who enjoys folding. I hate folding to the point that prior to starting this method, I hung everything except for underwear. Everything. T-shirts, jeans, pants, everything hung. I had a drawer and it was for underwear. But, you know, when I started this method, I wanted to really commit to it and do it all the way and give everything a shot just to see, because you don't know until you try. And I actually really like the folding now. So now I fold pants and shorts, except for my dress pants that, you know, the ones with the crease that you don't want to have to iron every time you wear them. And I fold all of my t-shirts, I fold all of my pajamas, I fold all of my sweaters, any of my knit tops, and I fold all of my undergarments. I fold my underwear. But you know what? It sparks joy when I don't have to dig through my underwear drawer to find the right pair of underwear. So yeah, that really surprised me that I enjoyed that. So some of the things that I did not like about the book. So Marie Kondo, she is from Japan, and definitely the Japanese culture has more of those kind of Eastern mysticisms, talking about energies and items having feelings, and she talks about greeting your house when you come in, thanking the items as you discard them, and I'm a Christian, so that's a little bit like weird for me. So I didn't do that because I don't think a shirt has feelings. And definitely I think that's kind of a cultural thing. So, you know, going into this process, if you are not used to those kind of Eastern ideas, just know that they're there. You don't have to thank your worn out t-shirt when you throw it away, but just throw it away and be thankful anyways, because some people don't have t-shirts. So a lot of the other things about the process that I thought were kind of lacking in her book, she does a very good job of addressing in the second book, Spark Joy. So if you are new to this method, I recommend reading both books. I didn't read Spark Joy until after I had completely finished the purging process, because by that point in time I decided I didn't want to buy books, so I waited for it to be available at the library. But it did a really good job of explaining some of the things that were a bit vague in the first book. You know, the folding. There's a great, really great section on folding with pictures that's very helpful, because sometimes just reading the description of the folding can be a little confusing. And she also talked about one of the categories that I thought was a little weird, which is valuables, where she listed as like passport and foreign currency and those kind of things. I'm like, I don't really have any of that. Do you want me to declutter my credit cards? I don't know. So she does a little bit better job in the book of describing what belongs in that category. For me personally, that's one of the ones that I think maybe is kind of unnecessary. I don't really have a lot of valuable things. I don't like collect gold coins or anything. And a lot of the other things that I do own that are expensive, like for example, you know, my computer, that would go in the electronics category. So, you know, it's not going to be perfect for everyone. So that is good. So if I were going to talk to someone who was getting ready to start this process, I'll tell them to get both books and read them, because they are both really good. Do them in order, Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and then read the Spark Joy. Definitely follow her process as much as you can. I think the way that she has the category set up is very good. How she has you take everything out, look at all of the items in one category at a time. I think it's a super, super way to do the decluttering, because you really get a sense of how much stuff you have that really is unnecessary. Like, how many sweaters can one person own? Do you need 35 sweaters? No, you do not. And I would, so do all of the categories. But having said that, if you need to create new categories or subdivide categories to really fit your life, definitely do that. You know, for me, the kitchen was too much to do all at one time, so I subcategorized the kitchen. I also had a ton of hobby equipment and hobby-related items, so I further subdivided that. just so I would have like more manageable chunks of stuff to do than to take every single hobby item and look at it at one time, because that's this entire room that I'm sitting in. This is my sewing, crafting, hobby room. So I didn't want to do that all at one time. So that's good. And then have a plan for getting rid of your items and get them out of your house. For me, I used this room, the hobby room, as my kind of staging area where I would collect items to be donated before they left, so that they weren't hanging around the rest of the house. However, that was a little bit difficult when I actually got to this room. So if you have an extra space, a corner somewhere you can designate for the items, that is helpful, and then get them out of the house as soon as you can. Now, Marie makes a comment in her book that she has never had anybody relapse, and that you really shouldn't have to do this method more than once. I'm a little bit skeptical on the relapse thing, because I don't think anybody's perfect. She does talk a little bit in Spark Joy about what she would consider a relapse and what is just your house is going to get messy on occasion and you're going to have to pick it up. The second thing is she says that you should only have to do this method once, that tidying should be a special event and not an everyday occasion. And I'm not sure that I agree with this. I think that one of the reasons her clients probably only have to do it once is because she's there. She mentions kind of prompting her clients. You know, when they pick up an item and they decide to keep it, if she really doesn't feel it sparks joy, she kind of prompts them to think about it again. If you're doing it by yourself, you don't have Marie there to prompt you on items, and especially at the beginning, you're not going to be as good at making those decisions. So personally, I am planning on doing this process all the way through again. One of the reasons is we are moving at the end of the summer, and like 99.9% chance it will be downsizing, so I really want to be conscious of the amount of items that we collect and we have and we're going to take into our smaller place, wherever that may be. And also, again, I feel like some of the categories that I didn't really make good decisions in. So that's going to be great. Also, I find myself as I'm walking around the house, I see something and I'm like, you know what, that doesn't spark joy and I don't want it. So I have a box that I keep, that whenever I find something that doesn't spark joy, I just put it in the box, and that becomes my donate box. When it gets full, I take it away. So I have one now that's getting kind of full, and we will be discarding those items. So those are my thoughts about the KonMari method. After you declutter your house, you are supposed to organize it. So I am currently working on organizing. I am not being as strategic about organizing. I'm not filming the organizing, partly because we are going to be moving, so I don't want to invest a lot of money in kind of organizing equipment, supplies that may or may not work wherever we move next. And secondly, I'm a little bit tired after this, and I have other things that I enjoy doing in my free time. So for me, the organizing is going to kind of be more of a slow, go at your own pace kind of a deal. I don't know that Marie would agree with that. I'm pretty sure she would say that you should just roll on through, organize your house, and it would be fabulous. But I don't think that's going to work for me. So what I am going to do is I am going to just kind of insert some clips of some of the spaces that I have organized. Actually, wow, this video is getting really long. So how about I do that in the next week? For next week's video, I'll just kind of do a little montage of some of the spaces that I have organized, just to kind of give you guys a little peek at what I've been doing. And that's it. So let me know in the comment section below, have you done KonMari? What do you think about KonMari? What are you thinking about KonMari?